Geeks! Welcome back to the Geeksider Show. My name is Josh.
I'm Anna.
And we're back with another Game of Thrones review. This time reviewing the Season 7 premiere of Game of Thrones titled Dragonstone.
If you haven't seen this episode yet and you want to avoid any spoilers, you should probably skip this video and come back later because everything we say from this point forward is going to be a spoiler.
Okay, I think this was a really good start to the season. I think this episode touched every button that it needed to.
Yeah, and the opening is probably one of my favorite season openings in Game of Thrones history. It was fantastic. I loved it.
It started off at a sprint and then kind of coasted to the end.
Yeah,
but
which is cool. I mean, it's got to touch on a lot of stuff. It's building to stuff. It can't all be, you can't just be running the whole time.
Yeah, and it did everything that a season premiere needed to do. It hit every single note. We got updates on, I think, every single character. I don't think they missed out on anyone. Nobody was left out, I don't think, right?
None of the main players.
So, let's talk about that opening. Oh my gosh. First of all, we didn't realize exactly what was going on until, it started going down. Yeah, I thought it was a flashback.
Yeah, because, just prior to that, they had shown, all these all these little clips from the previous episode leading into this season, and without, really much of a distinction, it goes right into the show, and it's Frey, and we're like, is this, a flashback? What's going on here? Yeah, and as soon... I had figured it out as soon as Arya... as soon as Arya, as Frey, said, a second feast within a fortnight, I was like, oh, it's Arya! I knew it. I was like, oh, that is not something Frey would do. I knew it was Arya, and I was freaking, if you watched our live reaction, you saw. I was like, yeah, it's Arya! Oh my god!
And the line, "Winter has come for House Frey." Oh my gosh, one of the great lines in all of Game of Thrones. And just Maisie Williams, she wasn't in this episode a bunch, but what she was awesome.
Yeah.
And then she showed up later again. She's going back down to King's Landing to kill Cersei, and she stops and has dinner with some, I guess they were Lannister soldiers. And she's full on just tells them, what are you going to do down in King's Landing? I'm going to kill the queen. They're like, ha ha, you're so funny.
Yeah, I liked that scene.
I think they're all going to end up dead.
I know a lot of people are shitting on that scene because it was basically a throwaway scene to feature Ed Sheeran, who I didn't know who that was, so I didn't even recognize that he was in it and didn't give a crap. But I'm like, if you don't know who the person is and the scene still makes sense and fits in it, then I don't feel like it's a throwaway scene. So I was okay with it. I thought it was a nice little segue into her going to King's Landing, and extra points if they do something with those characters and she has to kill them all.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like somewhere along the line she's going to get sidetracked and not make it all the way to King's Landing. Yeah. Something's going to happen.
I think so too.
It's going to be interesting to see what that is.
Yes.
Second thing I want to mention real quick is White Walker Giants? What? Oh man,
it makes sense.
It didn't occur to me that could be a thing though, but that's freaking terrifying.
Yeah, as I was like, oh, are those giants? And he's like, I was like, well, I mean, why couldn't there be?
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those dumb moments, but yeah, until you see it, you just don't think about it. And so for us, it was like, holy shit, there's White Walker Giants. Oh my god.
And that's super scary.
Yeah.
And from there, Bran and Mira make it back to the wall. And my mom is so funny. She came to me today and she was like, now, why aren't Jon and Sansa making a bigger deal about Bran being back? I'm like, because they don't know.
They're not at the wall. They're
in Winterfell and he's at the wall. And she was like, oh! My mom's so funny. She forgot that they weren't at the wall. But I imagine that Jon and Sansa will find out sooner rather than later. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure they will because... The people at the wall will send
They'll send a raven. They'll
send a raven to Jon to let him know.
Yeah.
And Bran needs to be with Jon. He has knowledge. He has the inside scoop, and man, maybe his character can finally be relevant.
Speaking of Jon, I really liked his scene when he let the Karstarks and the Umbers keep their lands, and he explained, why, like, these are ancestral lands. We're not going to kick people out of their homes.
I particularly liked that he said we are not going to kick them out of their ancestral homes due to the decisions of the father and sons. Mm-hmm. Because it's the fathers and the eldest sons who made these poor decisions, not the women and the younger children. They have no say in this. And I like that he didn't punish the entire families for something that just the men in the family decided to do. Like, that was really cool.
And Sansa arguing with him in front of all these people, I think, was a mistake. I understand exactly where she's coming from. She's not wrong.
No, she's not wrong.
I think she was wrong to argue her point in front of everybody. He's the king in the north. To argue against him in front of everyone, I think, was a mistake.
Yeah.
And I think she'll learn from that.
Yeah, because she's a Stark. He is a Stark bastard. Mm-hmm. And that's where the problem lies. She's questioning him. How long until everybody starts thinking, well, maybe we should have a queen of the north instead of a king?
And I think in the Game of Thrones universe, having a female question the king in front of his subjects is very diminishing.
Yeah, like it's going to make the men think less of him. And he's already proposing all of these ideas that they're not so great with, like the Umbers and the Karstarks, allowing them to keep their lands because they didn't make the decision, the men did, who all died. And he wants the women and girls to fight too, to fight the White Walkers. He says there's not enough, we can't only do half the population, we need everybody.
Yeah.
And I know that's going to be a touchy subject going forward. Like, I know, what's the badass little girl?
Lady Mormont.
Lady Mormont. I know she put everybody in their place at that moment, but I don't think that issue's settled.
No, I don't think it's settled either. I think it will get settled, and I think the women and the children will end up fighting.
Yeah, and I think it'll be their choice. I think the men in this universe are thinking they have to protect their poor female women's and stuff, and the women are like, forget this, give me a sword, let's go.
We are all in this together, and they're going to have to come to that in order to fight off the White Walkers.
And I really hope Sansa starts getting out there and training in front of everybody. Mm-hmm. Show that, Jon's going to fight. He's never said he's not going to fight. She should fight too. She shouldn't be exempt.
And Sansa is giving good counsel. She just needs to be a little smarter about how she delivers it.
Yes, yeah.
And when and where she delivers it. So Cersei had a pretty interesting beginning of her story for this season. She's looks like she's going to try to make an alliance with the Greyjoys, and then she kind of shoots them down. Like, she wants them to prove that they can be loyal. So Euron Greyjoy, he's going out to do something. He's like, I can prove myself. What it is, we don't really know yet. I figure he's probably going to go after Tyrion. I think that's probably what his plan is.
Yeah, like he said something along the lines that he's going to bring her a priceless gift.
Or something like that.
Yeah, or something along that effect. And, the only thing I can think that she wants that badly is Tyrion's head.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely think that's where she's at. And I can't believe how much confidence Cersei has that she's going to retain her throne for any length of time, because, basically everybody's turned against them.
Yeah, they're surrounded.
Yeah, they are completely surrounded by enemies, and all it's going to take is those enemies to hook up. And I see Jon and Daenerys forming an alliance.
Yeah.
Because once Daenerys knows about the White Walkers and knows that they're threatening her kingdom, I feel like she's gonna help with that.
Yeah. And Sam has finally put it together. Well, not finally.
Yeah.
He put it together. Dragonstone, that's where all of the obsidian is. All the dragon glass is there. And he's got to get word to Jon, who is then going to have to go down and visit Daenerys and be like, look, this is what's going down. You guys have all the dragon glass. We need to do something about this threat from up north before we deal with the threat from down south.
And even if she doesn't help Jon with it, I feel like they will still have an alliance to where she will allow him to take the dragon glass, with the understanding that, like, once he's finished with the White Walkers, he has to come join them. Even if she goes with him to defeat the White Walkers, is that afterwards he's gonna have to bend the knee to her as queen of the seven kingdoms, and then help her take over. And Jon I don't think he wants to be king. He's being king right now as a necessity to get rid of the White Walkers. I don't think he necessarily wants to be king, so I think he'd be okay with that deal.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't think, I definitely don't think he wants to rule. I wouldn't be surprised if Game of Thrones and like the whole story ends with him kind of being forced to be king.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've kind of known for a while. George R. R. Martin says it's going to be a bittersweet ending. So I wouldn't be shocked to see, Jon Snow sitting on the Iron Throne, kind of a hesitant king.
Yeah, like all disappointed that he now has to do this.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
He would have got to be king. It's like that movie Cannery Row where the guy was sentenced to be president. Want to talk for a brief moment about the Hound in this episode. They came across that little hovel where the Hound was, I guess, season or two ago, however long ago that was. He's been there before, and they got him to look in the fire, and apparently he had a vision.
Yeah.
And he saw the White Walkers walking past a castle that looked like an arrowhead, or a mountain that looked like an arrowhead.
Yeah.
I forget what
I think it was the mountain looked like an arrowhead, and they were passing the castle that's right there, or something like that.
And it's up by the wall.
Yeah.
So, please help me here. Is that the castle that the wildlings are inhabiting? Where Jon ordered them to go? Is that what that is, or is that somewhere else? I can't find it right now. But granted, I haven't looked that hard. And the very last thing I want to mention for this video is Daenerys got to Dragonstone. Kind of surprised me, actually, that they made it all the way to Dragonstone in this episode. I thought Euron Greyjoy would intercept their fleet and he would be attempting to capture Tyrion. Because, of course, the Greyjoys, they have the greatest fleet in history, and if he could have intercepted Daenerys and her army while they were still at sea, that could have been a really interesting scenario, especially with those three dragons flying
That's what
around.
I was just thinking, like, the whole time we've had conversations about this, it never occurred to me, and then just now I was like, but she has 3 dragons that could literally just burn all of his ships. Like that would have been fantastic.
Like, imagine Cersei's reaction to that. Oh, the Greyjoy's going to go handle this, and while they're still at sea, I don't have to stress about this. Oh, the dragons burned his fleet down? Well, shit. Like,
damn it, I do still have to worry.
Totally something that would happen to Cersei.
Yes.
Absolutely something that would happen to her. Overall, I think this was a really good start to the season. It touched on everything it needed to touch on, and I think it's a really good start. Shortened season this season, and the last season's going to be even shorter. We're almost at the end of Game of Thrones, which on one hand is really exciting, but on the other hand, it's really kind of sad.
Yeah, it's exciting because like it's going to be really nice to finally wrap up the story and know what happens, but it's going to be so sad because when Game of Thrones is good, it's really good.
All right, we would love to know what you think, so let us know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, you can tell us by dropping a like on it and subscribe if you haven't already.
And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.